A Russian missile destroyed an outdated satellite, resulting in the creation of millions of pieces of space debris that will continue to orbit the planet at hypersonic speeds for years to come. The cloud of micro-bullets is now posing a threat to the International Space Station. In today's video, we shall be explaining how SpaceX Starlink Satellite was damaged by Russian space debris. Now let's get into the details. According to the findings, more than 6,000 orbital debris fragments that originated from a Russian anti-satellite weapons test came dangerously close to colliding with satellites that are owned and operated by SpaceX. The test was conducted in an attempt to demonstrate how such weapons could be used to destroy satellites and if there was a possibility that these satellites would be destroyed. According to a report that was first published by Space News, the incidents that came dangerously close to colliding with other satellites were discussed during a session that was held at a small satellite conference in Utah. According to Dan Oltrog, the principal scientist of ComSpock, a company that identifies objects in orbit, there has been an increase in the number of close encounters that have been caused by the debris that was left over after the destruction of Cosmos 1408. The Cosmos 1408 spacecraft, which has since been deactivated, had its maiden voyage in 1982 and tipped the scales at a combined 2,000 kilos and 4,400 pounds. Dan Oltrog believes that the increase in the number of close encounters can be attributable to debris that was left over after the spacecraft Cosmos 1408 was destroyed. Oltrog used the word conjunction squalls to describe the types of near contacts that give rise to them. More than 6,000 occurrences and near misses were catalogued by ComSpock's tracking system. Broken pieces of space debris came to within 6 miles, which is 10 kilometers of SpaceX Starlink satellites, when they were in low Earth orbit during these near encounters. These satellites were in an orbit that was transitioning to geostationary. When these close encounters took place, the space junk was orbiting the Earth at a low altitude and relatively close to the planet at the time. Because of their abnormal proximity to one another, these two objects constituted a threat to 841 of the 2,748 Starlink satellites that are now orbiting the Earth. In November of 2021, Russia successfully destroyed an aged spacecraft by employing an anti-satellite missile on the target. This action was conducted to bring about the destruction of the spaceship that was being targeted. The experiment led to the creation of hundreds of distinct pieces of space debris, which caused the crew members of the International Space Station to be compelled to seek cover to protect themselves from the falling debris. The experiment resulted in the formation of hundreds of distinct kinds of debris that are now floating around in space. After some time had passed, the debris metamorphosed into something that posed a risk to a Chinese spacecraft that was referred to as the Xinhua Science Satellite. At one point in time, the debris was about 14.5 meters from the satellite in its most distant position. However, as reported by Space News, it is unknown how many of the spacecraft were forced to make course corrections to alter their flight paths and prevent collisions. NASA expressed its present concerns in a letter that was recently delivered to the Federal Communications Commission. The statement focused on the possibility of orbital collisions involving the Starlink satellites. Bill Nelson, the administrator of NASA, has issued a vehement condemnation of the anti-satellite weapons test, describing it as reckless, dangerous, and destabilizing. All of them are powerful descriptors for the experiment that was carried out. It is inconceivable that Russia, which has a long and illustrious history in human spaceflight, would put the lives of not only the American and international partner astronauts on the International Space Station, but also the lives of their cosmonauts in jeopardy. This was the explanation that was provided by Mr. Nelson. There are approximately 25,000 pieces of space junk that are currently orbiting the planet that is larger than 10 centimeters in size, and there are between 600,000 and 900,000 bits of non-trackable debris that could potentially be hazardous to satellites and spacecraft. According to the Pentagon, the amount of space junk that orbits the Earth is so severe that there would still be a formidable problem even if international norms were established and declared to be legally obligatory. The Defense Intelligence Agency has issued a statement in which it says, "The probability of collision between massive derelict objects in low Earth orbit is rising and almost certainly will continue to rise until at least 2030 as a result of fragmentation events such as collisions or battery explosions." This statement was made in response to the fact that the number of space launches around the world has been rapidly increasing in recent years. Even though these guidelines for dealing with space debris were developed and approved by United Nations in 1993, the majority of nations have chosen to ignore the responsibility that each of us has to preserve our planet free of trash. This has led to an increase in the number of collisions in low Earth orbit involving large pieces of garbage. In 1978, a NASA scientist by the name of Donald Kessler carried out some research that, as a result of its findings, has since garnered a great deal of attention from a variety of audiences. The study warned that the domino effect caused by the material breaking apart, colliding into other material, and breaking again could create an impenetrable layer of debris that would make it impossible to launch terrestrial spacecraft into space. This would be because the debris would not be able to penetrate the layer. This is a serious cause for concern, as it could be detrimental to the future of spacecraft launching and space science on a whole. Do you think this could affect sensitive equipment like the James Webb Telescope? What are your thoughts on this?